Hello, welcome to Nell at Night. So tonight we are going to talk about happiness. And I chose to talk about this because there are many times when I'm sitting and working with a client that, happiness comes up. So when I talk to people and I say, what do you want for your life? What is it that's important to you? How do you see yourself living your life, and what's important in terms of how you're living it. And happiness is usually the first thing that people say, right? It's like, I just want to be happy. Yeah, people can talk about money, we can talk about wanting material items, and yet we all know that it doesn't matter what material items you have. If you're not feeling good about yourself and you're not feeling good about your life, those items don't matter. And so many people are aware that how important happiness is in our lives. And so what is happiness, right? Like, what does that mean? And how do we define happiness? Well, here's what's interesting, that any word that we have, so like for now, talking about happiness, we all define it differently. If you notice my voice is a little squeaky, I'm kind of losing my voice, so bear with the squeakiness tonight. And going back to happiness, when we think about that word, we may all have a different idea. And it's also very indicative to show how we all think differently. So we all want happiness, but what is exactly happiness? Well, there's been studies on that. What is happiness? And what's been shown about happiness is that it is basically living a very fulfilling, purposeful, meaningful life. That's where happiness comes from. And what does that purpose and meaning mean? It's more just about being aligned with what's important to you, being aligned to your value system. So I'm going to give you a little exercise to do that I do with people that I work with my amazing clients that I love so dearly. And that is, how do we learn what our value system is? Here's a little trick to figure out what's important to you, what makes you happy, and what is fulfilling. Think about, so here we go, we're going to do the exercise. Think about the two most special times in your life, real quick, right? Off the top of your head, not really with a lot of thought. And then when you think about those two moments, they could be similar moments or different moments. What was exactly so special about them? What were the details about it? So what I mean by that is, let's not necessarily look at the story. You can remember the story, but what we're doing is we're taking a specific moment in time of that high that was a peak experience for you of when you felt so happy. And why do we do this? Because this is a really great investigative tool to understand what fills you up with joy and what fills you up with meaning and fulfillment. And this is where we can actually pull out, this is an exercise I learned in coaching, this is where we actually pull out our value system from this mining process of knowing what was so special to you. So you ask yourself a few questions. So if you were to describe that experience in adjectives, what would those adjectives be? So let me give you an idea. One of my peak experiences, and this is a true experience for me, was hiking one day to a waterfall. I was in Costa Rica. I was living in a different country, and I was on an adventure, someplace I'd never been before. And I was with a group of people that I really liked, and I was laughing, and it was exciting, and it was beautiful. I was outside. And so when I pull up the other was the birth of my first son, which was another amazing moment. So when I pull these experiences up, right, I'm able to see that travel, adventure, connection, being outside, all of those things are extremely important to me, right? And they are very important to me. And so that's how we begin to discover what has meaning for us, because that is a relation to happiness. Now, there's some interesting facts about happiness, and that is that, I'm going to say this and then I'll end here, and I'm sure I'll come up with a few other things with this, but for now, this is good enough. We think sometimes that happiness is this utopia of everything being perfect, and that's actually very far from the case. The studies showing that when people are the most engaged and have the most happiness in their life, there's actually a lot of emotion and feeling involved. And that means that even if you're happy, you may still cry and feel sorrow. So I'm saying that because sometimes we have this idea that we're not supposed to feel pain, and unfortunately, pain is very hard to deal with at times, but it is an essential part of our growth. So that's it for now. I hope that you can take something from that little exercise. There's really a lot to build on with that. It's a cool tool to work with. And have an amazing night, and I hope you're enjoying the weather. It's really beautiful here in Providence. Okay, namaste. Be well.